Hey everybody, it's Chris with the Meeples Market. Today we're going to be looking at our prototype slash preview copy we've got of Kinghill right now. If you're watching the video, it should already be out on Kickstarter because we're not releasing this until the Kickstarter begins. But Kinghill here is a two-player or solo game. I guess you'd say a head-to-head card battler slash worker placement game. The box says 45 to 90 minutes per play. Our plays were a lot quicker than that. Probably like, I would say 30 to 60 minutes for us, but you might be able to get up to that 90-minute mark depending on how you play, I guess. As for what the game is, I have an unboxing video, and just to clear that up at the start, the unboxing video had some components that have since been updated. So those are what we have on the table. It's the same components, they're just larger than what we used in that unboxing video. So, what's Kinghill? Kinghill is, like I said, if you imagine a card battler game, so, I mean, kind of like, whatever, Magic the Gathering or anything like that, where you're playing head-to-head, and you have cards that have, you know, health and attack on them and abilities and such. It's like that, but you have this whole board and this castle where you'll get to build buildings, and then you'll send out your little peasants or workers out onto the board or onto your castle board in order to take actions to get resources like these stones or these crystals or money. You'll then use those resources to purchase new buildings to put onto your little town, or to purchase more soldiers and people or fighters to have in your army. On top of that, you'll also have spells that you can get, which are these. And then each one has like multiple choices that you can pick for what kind of spells you want to cast. And that's the gist of it. I don't know if I've ever played a game like this before. I'll say straight off the bat, I'm not the target audience for these like head-to-head card battler games. It's just not my thing. The reason I wanted to preview this and why I'm excited for the Kickstarter is because it adds in this worker placement and resource management that to me like really elevates the genre of game here. Just because I don't like just playing cards out of my deck and then we fight. I won, you won. We lost our cards. It's not fun to me. But if you take that aspect and then include how we're placing workers and we're starting out with these like simple peasants, and then you can upgrade them into specialized stuff like there's like knights or warriors and rangers with bow and arrow. There's mages that they all specialize in stuff, so it's like a specialized worker. They'll let you do more specialized actions. So you add that in on top of the card play, and then you've got me interested now. In our games, I mean, I don't know if my strategy is going to work against someone like Peter, who made the game, and could probably destroy me in it. But my strategy was totally built around not worrying about building an army and worrying about getting buildings that would make me stronger, and then using these actions and spells to deal damage directly over to Lynn's castle. And that's what I was able to use to beat her. If she had probably moved a little bit quicker on attacking me, I had nothing to defend with, so her army could easily wipe me out. But the way we traded the first player token and the way some things worked out, I ended up being able to beat her down before she could beat me. The game's cool. The game's real cool, actually. A lot cooler than I thought it would be. This is a prototype copy, so the stuff's not final. I don't know what their plans are as far as components go, because the little blue crystals, they're cool. These cubes, it would be cool if they had custom like rock resources or whatever, but the cubes do the job just fine. They're cool. I'd like the money tokens to be a little bit larger. I'm hoping in the final game they are. Because right now it's just cardboard chits, and one side has a dragon on it and the other side has a 2. I'm assuming that's so you can have a single and a two, but with them being these little cardboards, they flip on the table easy. So, I don't know, they're just not the best thing for having a double-sided coin, kind of, whatever. It's a little nitpicky, but it is what it is. The biggest thing for me, and this wasn't an issue for Lynn, I'm just not a super fan of these little cardboard chits are the workers, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'm hoping that in the final version they'll upgrade this. I personally prefer it if it was like a meeple, or even not like a mini per se, but if they had a I'm trying to think of a game to compare it to. I can't think of one. But similar to a miniature of how, like Disney Villainous, they have like those minis, but they're not like actual characters, they're more just like symbols or logos. So like, if you had these icons like a log with a saw going through it, or the bow and arrow kind of standing up a little bit as a plastic mover, I would like that more, just because it's easier to pick it up and move it around the board, and that kind of stuff just looks cooler to me. Other than that though, I'm good with how the game is. The components are cool, the cards are like designed well, the readability is high, the board itself too, it's not confusing. I read the setup for the game once last week, and then I was able to fully set the game up without referencing the rule book my second time setting it up a week later. So to me that's pretty good. The rules are pretty straightforward. We didn't have to look at the rule book at all after we started playing, aside from aside from having to like double check what certain powers and stuff did. Because each round of the game you'll flip over these tiles. The game starts with one tile revealed. There's 9 of them total. It's kind of the round tracker. You play until someone dies, or until at the end of that 9th round. So all of them are flipped upside down. Each round, at the end of the round, you'll flip a new one over for the next round. And they just have icons. Icons are printed on them. So this one has 2 of these red cards. That means that you can purchase 2 of the red cards. There's a space on the board with just 1 red card where you can go to get 1 card. This lets you get 2. So most of the stuff is pretty self-explanatory. There were just a couple of them that we looked in the rulebook to confirm that it meant what we thought that it meant. But other than that, 1 read through of the rulebook, and we were good. So I don't know if this is the final rulebook, since this is a prototype copy, but it's a good rulebook. Everything's explained really well. I'm a little iffy on the layout and some of the... there's like some flavor text mixed in with the rules. I'm not one for flavor text. I'm not like the Quackalope or any of those guys who get hyped up about the story. I just want to play the game. So when I'm reading the rules, like, I don't care about where the warriors came from or that the power that's being used to cast the spells. I just want to know what the cards do so I can play. That's my only complaint. But again, that's a personal thing, and I'm sure a lot of other people will read that and be like, yeah, this is great. You've also got these different like heroes. Each one's different. They have different abilities on them. So they're kind of like the strong dudes in your army. This prototype, I told you that we got these new components, and they had to get them like special ordered from the game crafter, I think, because there was a misprint with the original ones, and everything was real tiny. So we got these new ones sent, which is cool. The only bad thing is, from the game crafter, is they laser cut them. This has nothing to do. This is a prototype issue. I'm just rambling at this point because I saw my hands. They laser cut this stuff out of the chipboard or whatever, and because of the laser, it causes like soot and dust, like black, whatever, char, to be on the edges of all the tokens and the tiles. So it's like every time we play it or touch it, your hands just get covered in this black dust. That has nothing to do with the game, obviously. That's just a prototype thing that I thought I would share. But yeah, this is it. This is Kinghill, a 2-player game, or 1 player. a card battler with worker placement and resource management. If you are into card battling games, I think you'll like this. If you're not into card battling games and you normally read about these and you're completely turned off by it, I would say check it out. If you can play it on Tabletop Simulator, check out the rulebook. For me, I'm completely uninterested in a normal card battler game. We are now interested in this. I will probably back this. I want to play it. Last thing I'll talk about, this was like kind of all over the place. I just wanted to get a rough impressions video out here to kind of let people know what I think. There's these tiles out here. So after the second and fourth round of the game, you'll put 2 of them out. But then anytime you do certain actions, you'll put additional tiles out. Okay? And you put them out face down. And then once these have all been placed out, if you were to do something that would cause you to put another one out, you'll flip them. And once you flip them, they usually have like a permanent effect. So like this one says, everyone pays 3 stones or their castle takes 2 damage. And that happens at the end of every round. This one, whenever the outskirt offer is refreshed, and that's the line of cards that gives you the castle upgrades and such. Whenever that is refreshed, discard all of the buildings from that and then replace them with unit cards. And the unit cards are the people at the bottom who would go into your army and such. So basically, once this gets flipped, the game's like, no, we're not doing buildings anymore. If you guys want to buy something, you're buying soldiers and we're going to war. So this is super cool. Again, I'm not into lore or anything like that. I don't know what the deal is per se with why this is happening. I view it as this sort of like high energy magic is being used, and there's an instability, and then after so long you start to see the instability is kind of like the realm is starting to crack open and these things are happening and it's making things chaotic. So that's how I see it. There's they're not all bad either though. There's some good stuff that happens in them as well. They seem to mostly be bad things though. So that's cool. So it's like, yeah, we can use these big powerful magic spells and make some crazy stuff go on, but we need to be careful because if we do that too much, you're going to cause chaos to happen. So that's just another sort of timer where maybe you have a good plan in place or you think you're doing good, but then all of a sudden this stuff gets flipped and now I need to be paying these a ton of stones at the end of every round, or I can't build any more fortifications. And in my case that would be bad because I wasn't building an army. And now Lynn already has an army, and the only thing I can buy is army, and I'm behind, and then you see where it's going. Yeah. Kinghill, check it out. Should be out on Kickstarter now. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below in the comments. I will answer them the best that I can. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Back to project.